To make these slippers, you will need chunky number 6 bulky weight yarn. We will also be using a 6.5 millimeter hook. You will also use scissors and a yarn needle. To begin, we are going to start with a slip knot. Then we will chain 2. Now we are going to make a magic circle. You will make a magic circle by looping your yarn just as I show right here. Then we are going to do 10 double crochets in this magic circle. If you end up with just a little bit here, just pull it a little bit so that you still have a hole right there to crochet into, but you won't lose that tail there. Now I forget how many I had. I believe it was 8. Yeah. Okay, so 2 more for me to make 10 double crochets. Now we're going to pull this tail tight to close up that circle there. Don't pull too tight because this yarn will snap fairly easy. Now, if you see here, here is our chain 2. Now at the very top of the chain 2, we are going to do a slip stitch. So if you look here, you will see that the top of it is where there is a loop right underneath. Now we're going to chain 2, and then we are going to do 2 double crochets into every stitch around. And we're going to start with the first stitch that we just did, the slip stitch into. So there's 1 and 2 in that first stitch. Now if you see here, I like to crochet over top of my tail so I don't have to weave in with a needle later on. Now continuing on, we're going to do 2 double crochets into every stitch around. At the end of this row, we are going to have 20 double crochets. Now I just finished my last double crochet. Now we are going to slip stitch at the top of this chain 2. There is that loop on the bottom, so we will go right above that into the very top stitch there. So slip stitch, and then again we will chain 2. Now for this row, we are going to do 2 double crochets in this first stitch. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 9 stitches. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets in this next stitch. So 1, and in the same stitch do a second one. Now we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 9 stitches. Then we are going to slip stitch at the top of that chain 2. We are now going to chain 2 for our next row. Now in this row, we are going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch around. So right now we are on row 4, and we are going to do a total of 6 rows with just 1 double crochet into each stitch. And at the end of every row, we will do our slip stitch, chain 2, and then continue on with 1 double crochet into each stitch around. then slip stitch. Now we have completed our 6 rows of double crochet. Now we are going to chain 1. So at this point we are going to be making the heel part of the slipper. We are going to do single crochets around, but we are going to leave 6 stitches undone, and that is the opening space for the ankle part of our foot. So we're going to do our chain 1 and do 16 single crochets. So 1, 2, 16. Now I'm going to double check that I have 6 stitches undone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we are going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Now we're going to do single crochet, 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch until we get to the last stitch in this row, which would be the first single crochet stitch of the last row. All right, so we are on our last stitch here. So we are going to do 2 single crochets in that same stitch, the very last one. We are going to chain 1 and turn our work again. Now we are going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch. And continuing on, just stretch your work out so that your stitches will lay flat. This is what we have so far. So if you see, here is the toe part of our slipper working up until the opening, and then this will be the heel. It'll work out to the heel. So we are going to do chain 1 and 1 single crochet into every stitch. So for our last one, we are going to, I'll explain that in just a minute. Okay, so I just finished my 7 rows of single crochet for the heel. Now you will chain 1, and then what we are going to do is we are going to flip this inside out. So we are going to be doing these stitches on the inside of the heel, and you will line up your stitches on each side. So let me show you that one more time. So here is the outside of the slipper, and then you will just flip the heel. No need to flip the whole slipper, just flip the heel. So this is the outside, this is going to be on the inside. So we are going to start right up here, and we're going to insert in that first stitch there, and then make sure your yarn isn't tangled up in there. We are going to go into the first stitch, or technically the last stitch on the other side, and then make sure you pull your yarn tight, and then we are going to single crochet. So there is 1 single crochet in that first stitch. Now in the next 2 stitches, so make sure that they're lined up there, we are going to insert our hook and go through both sides of the slipper, and then do another single crochet. We are going to continue this until we get to the end of which will be at the heel of our foot. And then chain 1, and we are going to fasten this off. So cut, you don't need a very long tail for this, and pull that right on through. Make sure your knot is tight. Now we're going to flip it out to the correct side of the slipper, and there's our slipper so far. So here's what it looks like. I've never had any issue of this being uncomfortable or anything. So now we are going to do a border. There is that stitch in there. Now we are going to do a border around the top. I insert my hook right to the right of that seam that we just did, and I connect with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, which might be a little hard to figure out exactly where the stitches are. Just try to keep the same length between each one, and try to make sure that you have more than just 1 loop of yarn through each of them. But you can just kind of guesstimate, and you can do it. If you don't like it, just undo it and try it again. You know, we're hand making things. There's no one way is the only way to do it. I also crochet over top of that tail, my starting tail there, so that I just don't have to weave in another piece of yarn at the end. So working along here, I just continue right on from the side of the slipper to what will be the top part of our foot here. Move that other piece of yarn out of the way there. Okay, and then I do, in the same stitch that we did our first single crochet in, I do another single crochet at the end, and it just tightens up the back of your foot there. You can choose to do that or not. And then slip stitch, chain one, and then we will fasten off our work. Again, you don't need a very long tail. Pull that tight to secure it. Now I like to use this yarn needle with a big eye opening. You can use any type of needle. You can use a metal needle instead of a plastic needle if you like. Just make sure that the eye is big enough that this bulky yarn will go through. And then to weave in, I just go in and out of my stitches. And then I'll go back the other way. And then for the top, I will do the same exact thing. And then I leave a little bit left on the ends of these because as soon as you stretch it out, they will go in there and disappear, you know, underneath those stitches. Okay, and here is our finished slipper. Now I'm going to go and make the other one. Here they are. I love these slippers. They are so comfortable. I wear a pair every single day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you guys will like and subscribe to let me know that you like the videos that I am putting out, which will make it where I will put out more.